issue of Iran in the meantime. And Vanessa, welcome you to the program. What is the situation? Has there been major escalation? It's very difficult to get honest commentary on this because it seems that we're not hearing the full picture, or not getting the full picture from the corporate media.
Well, absolutely not. I mean, Israel effectively has a blanket D-notice on all media coverage of what's happening inside Israel. And in response to Brian's question, yes, Iran does have hypersonic missiles, and they have already been used in this war. So I want to cover basically, when you're talking about not getting truthful reports, Mike, I want to cover President Trump's address in the last 24 hours. So let's just roll the first section.
It's we have the greatest military in the world. We have the greatest equipment in the world by far. You see that no matter where we go. You still need the people, though, to operate it and to use it. And those are the people that we cherish. Even after we obliterated their key nuclear sites in Operation Midnight Hammer, they never negotiated in good faith. They still continued to say, we want to build nuclear. We want enrichment at levels that were unacceptable. And they even turned down an offer for unlimited free nuclear fuel forever for civilian purposes. We had people offering them free nuclear fuel. They weren't interested in that because they wanted to build a nuclear weapon. So instead, the regime was trying to reconstitute its weapons program at a different site. They couldn't go back to where they were, the 3 sites that we obliterated, but they were starting work at another site, a different site, different kind of a site, and that was protected by granite. They wanted it protected. Granite's pretty good, but they wanted it protected by a lot deeper. They wanted to go a lot deeper, and they started the process.
It was protected by granite, which the majority of the missile cities are, of course, because they're built under the mountain ranges in Iran. But even the Pentagon has challenged the absolute destruction of the nuclear energy enrichment sites in Iran. So again, Trump is banging on about this. And then let's just play another section where basically Trump claims that they've destroyed everything, which includes around 50 or 51, as he said, naval vessels. Now, Iran only has 95 vessels, and as far as I could work out, only 10 have been incapacitated so far. But anyway, let's play the next bit from Trump.
The drone launchers are pretty well shot, but we're at over 90% decline in the Iranian missile launchers, which is very hard to reproduce and very hard to get. And usually what we were able to do through great equipment, a lot of smart people, as soon as they sent a missile up from a launcher, we were able to knock out that launcher within a period of 5 minutes or less, accurately, right on the noggin. So now we have low-cost interceptors effectively combating Iranian drones, and our B-2 bombers recently dropped dozens of 2,000-pound bombs to destroy missile launchers all over Iran and very deep under Iranian soil in many cases. The soil was no match. And
it's very difficult not to smile during Trump's speeches. But anyway, of course, what they have hit is the Iranian spokespeople are saying 10,000 civilian sites have been hit by Israel and US so far. But I actually went to look at Israeli media headlines this morning, and this is what I saw. So this is from Ynet News: unrelenting nighttime shooting, which means, of course, missile attacks from Iran. So they clearly haven't destroyed everything, and they haven't destroyed the missile launchers. And then if we look again, another headline also from Ynet: the threat from the ground during the war, Iran shot down Air Force drones, planes maneuvered to avoid being hit. So clearly the drone launchers are still very active. So again, let's come back to Trump and his next claim, which is that the Strait of Hormuz is totally safe and under control of American vessels. So let's listen to this.
Oil supplies will be dramatically more secure without the threat of Iranian ships, drones, missiles, nuclear menace, or anything. So the Strait of Hormuz is going to remain safe. We have a lot of Navy ships there. We have the best equipment in the world, inspecting for mines. Again, most of their ships are down at the bottom of the sea, but we will hit them so hard that it will not be possible for them or anybody else helping them to ever recover that section of the world if they do anything.
Okay, so are you paying attention? So again, why not headline? Sorry, no, this is the Iranian parliamentary speaker, which is on X. An oil tanker crossed the Strait of Hormuz, escorted by U.S. Navy ships, maybe on PlayStation. But he's not the only one speaking about this. Again, another headline the next one. Oh, sorry. Yes, this one. Ynet. Iran has planted mines in the Strait of Hormuz. Trump, if not removed immediately, there will be serious consequences. And then if we look at, I think it's a Reuters headline, again, today, U.S. Navy tells shipping industry Hormuz escorts are not possible for now. And in fact, the Navy has been reporting multiple requests for escort, and they've been forced to turn them all down. So again, not very correct. And then I wanted to play, this is a section of the statement from Senator Chris Murphy. And I have to say, he also went on X shortly before I came on, saying that during the private briefing, he was told that they're not going to destroy the nuclear sites, not that they exist. There will be no regime change, and their intention is just to continue destroying Iran's missile capability. At the same time, also, support for war in the US is less than 30%. But let's hear what Chris Murphy has to say.
I just came from a 2-hour closed-door classified briefing on the war. It just confirmed to me it's totally incoherent. We are not going to be able to achieve any of our stated objectives. But I mention it because it's another closed-door briefing. We have still not yet heard a full explanation as to why this is necessary. We still have had no hearings in front of Congress that the public can see, and I think that's pretty simple. Because if the president did what the Constitution says, come to Congress to get authorization for this war, he wouldn't get it. Because the American people would demand that their member of Congress, their senator, whether they be a Republican or Democrat, vote no, because this is a disaster of epic proportions. It's already getting Americans killed. It's driving up prices here at home. Harder line leadership, more antithetical to U.S. interests, are strengthening inside Iran, and there's really no way that we're going to be able to destroy their nuclear program because most of it is buried underground unless we mount a ground invasion, which would be even more disastrous and more unpopular.
Some very good points made there. And finally, I just want to show this little clip from actually a friend of mine in Iran, in the city of Qom, which has been very badly hit, going to the fuel station to show that everything is operating normally. Let's play this.
This is the petrol pump. Almost no queue. Okay. 30 liters, 45,000 toman. 45,000 toman is like 40 cents or less than that. I don't have the exact calculation, but it's less than $50. That's yeah, you are. I love you.
Anyway, interesting. We should talk more about petrol prices, perhaps in extra.
We will, because that is quite a staggering figure. And actually, William, one of our producers, thanks, William, gave me a comparative list of petrol prices around the world. So we'll talk about that in extra.
Yeah, of course, the conflict is expanding, or has been expanding for some time now, into Lebanon, and recent developments between, I guess, the certain factions within the Lebanese government. Here, this is President Aoun saying that Lebanon calls for direct talks with Israel and accuses Hezbollah of betraying the country. Of course, the reality is that factions within the government that are aligned with Israel have effectively been failing to defend their own people in the south and in the eastern areas of Lebanon that have been under attack from Israel since the ceasefire took place in November 2024, which of course Israel has violated thousands of times. And then effectively Israel has turned down the invitation to direct negotiations, and it has actually said that it prepares for an extended campaign against Lebanon, even if the Iran war wraps up. And in fact, in the last couple of days, we've seen the targeting of what is known by Zionist-aligned media as the Hezbollah banking system. But in reality, if we can just put the video on screen, and I'll just keep talking while it's playing. This is in central Beirut. This is an area known as Hazmir. And here it's one of the Qard Al Hassan banks that, of course, provide usury-free, interest-free lending service to all Lebanese civilians. And effectively, Israel has been targeting all of them across the south within the suburbs of Beirut for the last couple of days. And then if we just bring up the fact that also Israel has carried out 2 incursions into Lebanese territory in the eastern Bekaa area, and I'll show the map shortly where you can see where this is. And it means that 2 helicopter landings, including special commando forces, have come in from the eastern sector of Lebanon, but in fact from Syrian territory. If we can just have a quick look at the map, people can see very clearly that that incursion has to have come in from Syrian territory, and therefore with the permission or approval of Jolani or Ahmed al-Shara, and his al-Qaeda regime in Syria itself. At the same time, Hezbollah has been extremely successful in its targeting of particularly the radar and surveillance systems inside Israel itself, and driving the settlements or settlers in the northern area of the occupied territories out from their settlements. In fact, the mayor of the area has said, we can't possibly continue under this barrage. And they have actually used precision-guided missiles for the first time. And then finally, I just want to show this video, which apparently was filmed from a car in the occupied territories, and it shows the direct targeting of the radar station that you can see on the right there. As the car is traveling past, it's hit by a Hezbollah missile directly. And I have to say, there has been very little interception of either the Hezbollah drones or the missiles, which again points to the fact that the saturation technique by Iran and Hezbollah is working, despite Trump's claims, of course, that they've entirely run out of missiles, drones, launchers, air defense, and anything else that they might need in this war.
Thank you for that, Vanessa. Now, Chad and Syria, are there some new incumbents of that location?
Yes, there are. I mean, they have been there for some time, but actually I was talking with a friend of mine that is still inside Syria, and they gave me some fairly updated information. So first of all, the Syrian president, as he's described here, of course, I wouldn't describe him as that, but Jolani, head of al-Qaeda and ISIS in Syria, vows absolute support to disarm Hezbollah in Lebanon. Well, of course he does, because he also is effectively a Zionist agent in the region. But I just we've been talking about how Washington, CIA, MI6 have been maneuvering the ISIS elements that have been inside Syria, but particularly in the UK-funded holding camps, or partially funded holding camps in the northeast. And of course, we've recently seen sort of mass release of those ISIS terrorist detainees. So I just wanted to, because actually I was chatting, as I said, with my friend, and they pointed this out. So this is in Jerusalem Post. CENTCOM, says up to 7,000 ISIS. So these are the actual fighters, not the family members. detainees could be moved to Iraq from Syria. And we've been reporting on this on UK Column and how potentially they could be used against the Iraqi resistance factions and even against Iran long term, because America is, in my opinion, never going to put American boots on the ground in Iran. It would be suicidal, as Chris Murphy has said. But I just wanted to draw people's attention to this, that we've somehow managed to lose 3,000 ISIS fighters. So this is from within the article. It's believed that there are around 9,000 male ISIS detainees in Syria. Some of those are teenagers, but as we've reported, MI6 has effectively been radicalizing them through various NGOs inside the holding camps. So that's 9,000 male ISIS detainees. Then it goes on to say up to 7,000 ISIS detainees could be transferred from Syria to Iraqi-controlled facilities. So that's from CENTCOM. But then let's have a look at the more updated information. So this is from the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, National Counterterrorism Center. Coordination for U.S. Central Command, CENTCOM, successful transfer of more than 5,700 ISIS detainees. So forgive me if my math is wrong, but we seem to be missing 3,300. Right, then let's have a look at the map of Syria. And again, this is based on inside information that I was told yesterday. The dark circle on the coastal area of Syria is effectively where many of the ISIS fighters were committing the massacres against the Alawites in that region. Now, they've been, those were HTS fighters, so Jolani military forces. So they've been relocated to the three main cities of Hama, Homs, and Damascus, which are circled in red. That leaves the border with Lebanon without forces. So what have they effectively done? They've moved those 3,000 plus ISIS fighters from the northeast, as you can see from the arrow there, to the border with Lebanon, where they are gathering, that's been reported in Lebanese media, and establishing artillery and drone posts on the border. So clearly a very prescient threat against Lebanon right now.
Lots to talk about in Extra today.